Day One pressed his face against the transport window and watched Threshold Station grow larger. The massive structure floated in space like a silver wheel, spinning slowly against the backdrop of stars. He had dreamed of this moment for years. Now he was finally here, about to meet alien species from across the galaxy. "Stop fogging up the window," Hana said from the seat beside him. She was trying to sound annoyed, but Day One could see the excitement in her eyes. She had been his friend since childhood in Seoul, and now they were traveling to the stars together. The transport docked with a soft thud. Around them, 6 other human students gathered their bags. They were the first group from Earth to attend Threshold Station. Everyone was nervous and excited at the same time. The airlock door opened with a hiss. Cool air rushed in and Day One took a deep breath. Something felt different. The air was thinner somehow, easier to breathe, but less satisfying. He shook his head. Maybe he was imagining things. They walked into the station's receiving area. Day One's eyes went wide. Dozens of alien beings moved through the huge space. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others had 4 legs or 6 or floated without legs at all. There were creatures covered in fur, scales, and what looked like living crystal. Colors he had never seen before hurt his eyes in a pleasant way. But something was wrong. As the human group moved forward, the other beings moved back. Conversation stopped. Large eyes and small eyes and eyes on stalks all turned to stare at them. A small creature that looked like a walking insect froze in place, its antennae trembling. "Is it just me, or is everyone avoiding us?" whispered Hana. "I noticed that too," Day One replied quietly. A tall figure approached them. It looked like it was made of purple crystal, with light moving inside its body. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes. "Welcome to Threshold Station. I am Ixara, Senior Advisor for Student Relations. Please follow me to orientation." As they walked through the corridors, Day One noticed more strange reactions. A group of students pressed themselves against the wall as the humans passed. One of them made a sound like a frightened bird. Station workers tapped on their tablet devices and spoke in urgent whispers. The orientation room was large and circular. Seats of different sizes and shapes filled the space designed for different body types. The human group sat together near the front. Other students filed in but left empty seats around the humans, as if they carried some invisible disease. Ixara stood at the center of the room. "You are the future of galactic cooperation," she began. 47 species are represented here. You will learn from each other, grow together, and build bridges between worlds. A hologram appeared showing the station's layout. Ixara explained the rules, the class schedules, and the environmental controls. That last part caught Day One's attention. "Each dormitory sector maintains the home environment for its residents," Ixara said. "Temperature, air pressure, atmospheric composition, and gravity are all adjusted to match your species' requirements." The hologram zoomed to show the human dormitory section. Numbers appeared beside it. Oxygen, 21% pressure, 101.3 kPa, gravity, 9.8 menar S2. Temperature range, 18 to 24 degree around the room. Several aliens looked at these numbers and made sounds of distress. One creature's skin changed from blue to pale white. Another covered its face with what might have been hands or tentacles. "These seem normal to me," Day One whispered to Hana. "Because they are normal," she whispered back. "For us anyway." After orientation, the students were released to find their dormitories. Day One walked with Hana through the main plaza, a huge open area with shops and food vendors. The smell of unfamiliar cooking filled the air. They stopped at a water fountain. Day One pressed the button and took a drink. The water tasted flat and strange. "Excuse me," a nervous voice said behind them. They turned to see the insect-like creature from earlier. Up close, it was about as tall as Day One's shoulder, with green chitinous armor and large compound eyes. "Hello," Hana said with a warm smile. "I'm Hana, and this is Day One." The creature's antennae twitched. "I am Thalrix of the Vryn people. I wanted to apologize for my reaction earlier. I was startled." "No problem," Day One said. "Everything here is new to us too." Thalrix shifted nervously. "May I ask, is it true that you come from Earth?" "Yes, that's right," Hana answered. Thalrix made a clicking sound. "I have heard of Earth. The orientation files mentioned it. Your world is classified as Category 12. What does that mean?" Day One asked. Before Thalrix could answer, a loud voice interrupted them. "So these are the famous humans." A large creature swam through the air toward them. It looked like a jellyfish mixed with an octopus with translucent skin and dozens of waving tentacles. Its body was surrounded by a bubble of water held in place by some kind of force field. "I am Quelm of Borvath," the creature announced in a booming voice. "I have heard much about your species." "Nice to meet you," Hana said politely, though something in Quelm's tone made her cautious. Quelm circled around them, looking them up and down with his large eyes. "Primitives from a barely habitable nightmare rock," they said. "I can see why. You look so fragile, so soft. No natural armor, no protective fields, no environmental bubbles. How do you even survive?" Daewon felt his jaw tighten. "We survive just fine, thank you." "Do you?" Quelm laughed, a sound like bubbling water. "Tell me, humans, do you even know why everyone fears you?" "Fears us?" Hana looked confused. "No one fears us. We're just students like everyone else." "Just students," Quelm repeated mockingly. "Yes, just students from a death world. Just students who require safety protocols that cost the station millions of credits to implement. Just students whose very presence made the medical staff triple their emergency supplies." Thalrix made a distressed clicking sound. "Quelm, please, they are new here." "They should know what they are," Quelm said. "Your planet, humans, is rated as one of the most dangerous inhabited worlds in the known galaxy. The fact that intelligent life evolved there at all is considered a statistical impossibility by most xenobiologists." Daewon and Hana looked at each other in confusion. "That can't be right," Hana said. "Earth is just Earth. It's normal to us." Quelm's laugh echoed across the plaza. "Normal? Yes, I suppose being born in hell makes hell feel normal." He swam away, still laughing. Thalrix's antennae drooped. "I am sorry. Quelm is rude to everyone, not just humans, but he is not wrong about Earth's classification." "What exactly is a death world?" Daewon asked. Thalrix looked uncomfortable. "Perhaps it is better if you discover this on your own." "I should not have mentioned it." "Please forget I said anything." The small alien hurried away, leaving Daewon and Hana standing alone in the plaza. They found their dormitory section after getting lost twice. The door read Human Sector A in both Korean and English. Inside, the air felt thicker, heavier. Daewon took a deep breath and felt suddenly more awake. "That's better," he said without thinking. "What is?" Hana asked. "The air. It feels right now." "Didn't it feel wrong out there?" Hana paused, considering. "Now that you mention it, yes. I thought I was just tired from the journey." They walked down the hallway to their assigned rooms. The walls displayed welcome messages in multiple languages. Everything looked clean and new. At the end of the hall, they found a viewing window looking out at space. They stood there together, watching the stars. "A death world," Hana said quietly. "Our home is called a death world." Daewon nodded slowly. "I guess we'll find out why." Behind them, unseen, a wall panel displayed a warning in alien script. "Human environmental zone. Extreme caution required. Emergency protocols active." The number at the bottom read, "Safety adjustments, 46 protocols modified for human habitation. Tomorrow their classes would begin." Tomorrow they would start to understand. Tomorrow the galaxy would teach them what it meant to come from Earth. But tonight they just looked at the stars and wondered what came next. The alarm woke Daewon from a deep sleep. He reached over and turned it off, then lay in bed for a moment. His first day of classes at an alien space station. The thought made him smile. He met Hana in the common area 30 minutes later. She was eating breakfast, some kind of protein bar the station had provided. She made a face. "This tastes like cardboard," she said. "Better than nothing," Daewon replied, taking one for himself. She was right. It did taste like cardboard. They made their way to the classroom building. Other students filled the corridors, speaking in languages that sounded like music, static, or whale songs. Daewon tried not to stare, but everything was so new and fascinating. Their first class was Introduction to Xenobiology. The classroom was huge, with seats arranged in a spiral pattern. At the center stood their professor, a being that looked like a large lizard standing upright. His scales were deep red, and his eyes were golden. "Good morning," the professor said in accented but clear English. "I am Professor Ventok. Today we discuss planetary habitability and the conditions required for intelligent life." The lesson started simply enough. Professor Ventok showed images of different planets and explained what made them suitable for life. Most planets, he explained, had certain things in common. Moderate temperatures, stable atmospheres, calm weather patterns. Then he reached Earth in his presentation. Professor Ventok paused. He looked nervous, his tail twitching behind him. And now we come to Earth, the home planet of our newest students. He gestured toward Daiwan and Hana. All eyes in the classroom turned to them. Earth is what we call an extreme habitability case. It exists on the very edge of what we consider survivable for intelligent life. A hologram of Earth appeared in the center of the room. It looked beautiful, blue and green and white floating in the darkness. Daewon felt a sudden rush of homesickness. Numbers appeared beside the planet. Oxygen content, 21%. Atmospheric pressure, 101.3 kilopascals. Gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared. A temperature range, 89 degrees to 56 degrees. Weather severity, class 7, extreme. Professor Ventok pointed at the oxygen number. Most inhabited worlds maintain oxygen levels between 8 and 12%. Earth's atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. This is what we would call a fire-prone environment. The air itself is almost explosive. Around the room, students whispered to each other. Some looked shocked. Others looked at the humans with what might have been fear or respect. The atmospheric pressure, the professor continued, is nearly double what most species consider comfortable. Living in such pressure is like being constantly squeezed. Hana raised her hand. But Professor, this all feels normal to us. How can it be extreme? Professor Ventok's golden eyes fixed on her. That is exactly the point, young human. You evolved in these conditions. Your bodies are built to withstand what would kill most other beings. Your bones are dense to handle the gravity. Your lungs are powerful to process the thick air. Your skin can tolerate temperature swings that would send most species into shock. Daewon looked down at his hands. They looked like normal hands to him. Nothing special. The temperature range is perhaps most concerning, Professor Ventok said quietly. Earth's surface temperature varies by over 140 degrees. Most inhabited worlds have a temperature variance of no more than 10 degrees across their entire surface. A student near the back made a sound like a cat being strangled. It was Thalrix, the insect-like Vryn they had met yesterday. His antennae were standing straight up. Are you saying, Thalrix's voice shook, that humans can survive in environments that vary by 140 degrees? Not just survive, Professor Ventok replied. Humans have built permanent settlements in nearly all of Earth's extreme environments. From frozen wastelands to burning deserts to steaming jungles. They live everywhere on their planet. The classroom was silent. Students stared at Daewon and Hana with new eyes. Professor Ventok cleared his throat. But we must remember that humans are people, just like all of us. Their biology may be unusual, but they deserve our respect and friendship. Now let us move on to the next topic. After class, Daewon and Hana walked to the gymnasium for their physical education requirement. They changed into exercise clothes and entered the main gym area. The gym was enormous. Different sections were set up for different types of beings. There was a swimming area for aquatic species, a climbing area for species that preferred vertical movement, and a running track that curved around the entire space. A short, furry alien approached them. It wore a whistle around its neck. I am Coach Prill, it said in a high-pitched voice. You must be the humans. We have adjusted the equipment for your species. Please be careful. Start slowly. Okay, Daewon said, confused by the warning. He had always been careful in gym class back on Earth. Coach Prill led them to a section with various exercise machines. Other students were already working out. Daewon noticed that most of them were moving slowly, carefully as if the equipment was very heavy. Begin with light jogging. Coach Prill instructed. Do not push yourselves. Daewon and Hana stepped onto 2 treadmills. The controls were in a dozen different languages, but they found the speed settings. Daewon started at what he considered a warm-up pace, barely faster than walking. Within seconds, he was passing other students on the track. They were running at full speed, breathing hard, their faces showing effort. Daewon was just warming up. Is this machine broken? He called to Coach Prill. It says I'm going slow, but I'm passing everyone. Coach Prill stared at the treadmill display. Its furry face went pale. That machine is set to level 3. Most students cannot maintain level 3 for more than a few minutes. Daewon looked at the control panel. Level 3 out of 10. Can I go faster? Yes, but please be careful. Daewon increased to level 5. This felt more like a proper jog. Behind him, he heard gasps from other students. On the treadmill beside him, Hana was matching his pace easily. Coach Prill was typing rapidly on a tablet device. Interesting. Very interesting. After 20 minutes of jogging, Daewon felt ready for some strength training. He moved to a machine designed for arm exercises. A helpful diagram showed how to use it. He sat down, grabbed the handles, and pulled. The handles moved easily. Too easily. It felt like pulling air. "Coach Prill, I think this machine isn't working," he called. The coach scurried over and checked the machine. "It is functioning normally. It is set to 20 kilograms of resistance. That is standard for most species, 20 kilograms. Daewon had lifted more than that in middle school back on Earth. Can you increase it?" Coach Prill's paws moved over the controls. "How much would you like?" "How high does it go?" 200 kilograms is the maximum. "Let's try that." The coach's whistle fell from its mouth. Around them, other students stopped exercising to watch. Coach Prill slowly adjusted the machine to its maximum setting. Daewon pulled the handles. They moved smoothly with good resistance. This felt right. This felt like a proper workout. "Perfect," he said. Coach Prill made a note on its tablet with trembling paws. "I will need to order stronger equipment." Hana had moved to a different machine. There was a sound of metal bending. Everyone turned to look. She had pulled too hard on a handlebar and it had bent out of shape. "I'm so sorry," Hana said, her face red with embarrassment. "I didn't mean to break it." It is not your fault," Coach Prill said weakly. "These machines are built for standard durability. We did not anticipate." The coach trailed off and made more notes on its tablet. By the end of the session, Coach Prill had filled several pages with notes. Other students kept their distance from the humans, watching them with wide eyes. As they left the gym, Daewon heard Coach Prill talking to another instructor. "We need to increase all weight limits by 300%, the coach was saying, "and reinforce the structural elements. And maybe add warning labels." Later that afternoon, an announcement came over the station's speakers. A student had been injured in one of the science labs. It was not serious, but the student needed help getting to the medical center. Daewon and Hana were nearby when it happened. They rushed to help. The injured student was a being that looked like a walking plant, with vine-like arms and a body covered in leaves. It had cut one of its vines on broken glass. Medical staff arrived quickly, but they stopped when they saw the humans helping. "Please step back," one of the medical staff said firmly. "Contamination protocols." "We're just trying to help," Hana protested. "Human contact with open wounds requires special precautions," the staff member explained. "Your touch could introduce microorganisms that the patient's system cannot handle." Hana felt her face burn with shame. She stepped back, but the plant-like student reached out with an uninjured vine. "Please, the human female knows what she is doing." I saw her stop the bleeding efficiently. The medical staff looked uncertain. Finally, they allowed Hana to continue, but they watched carefully and scanned everything she touched. Hana wrapped the injured vine with a clean cloth and applied pressure. It was basic first aid, nothing special, but the medical staff watched her like she was performing surgery. At the medical center, the chief doctor called Daewon and Hana aside. The doctor was a floating blob of protoplasm in a containment sphere. The alarm woke Daewon at 3 in the morning. Not his personal alarm. The station's emergency alarm. Red lights flashed in his room. A recorded voice spoke in calm but urgent tones. "Attention all students. A solar storm has damaged station systems. Please remain in your dormitories. Emergency protocols are active." Daewon grabbed his communicator and called Hana. She answered immediately. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine." "What's happening?" "I don't know." The announcement said something about a solar storm. Through his window, Daewon could see unusual lights dancing across the station's outer hull. Beautiful but dangerous. The station's shields were working hard to deflect the radiation and charged particles. "I'm coming to your room," Hana said. "I don't want to wait alone." "Good idea. Be careful." Daewon got dressed and waited. 5 minutes later, Hana knocked on his door. They sat together on his bed, watching the light show outside and waiting for more information. An hour passed. Then another. The emergency lights kept flashing. The station's systems made strange humming noises. Finally, a new announcement came. "Attention. Environmental control systems have been compromised in multiple sectors. Repair crews are working to restore normal conditions. Please remain calm." Daewon and Hana looked at each other. Compromised how? Hana wondered. They found out soon enough. The temperature in Daewon's room started to drop. Within minutes, his breath was making small clouds in the air. The walls began to show frost, another announcement. Human Sector A has experienced environmental system failure. Temperature controls are offline. Oxygen regulation is malfunctioning. Pressure systems are unstable. This is classified as a Level 1 emergency. Evacuation procedures are being prepared. Daewon checked his room's environmental display. The numbers made him frown. Temperature, the 15°C and dropping oxygen 28% and rising pressure, 130 kilopascals and climbing. That doesn't seem too bad, he said. Hana nodded. It's cold but not terrible, like winter morning in Seoul. They could hear commotion in the hallway. Other human students were coming out of their rooms wearing jackets and looking annoyed but not particularly worried. A human student named Jiho walked past. This is inconvenient. I was sleeping so well. Another student, Minji, laughed. At least it woke us up. Better than sleeping through an actual emergency. Daewon and Hana stepped into the hallway. The temperature was cold, but nothing they hadn't experienced before. The extra oxygen made them feel more alert, more awake. Then they heard pounding on the sector door. Through the door's window, they could see station security. The aliens were wearing full environmental suits. One of them was shouting into a communicator. The humans are moving around. They're not in protective gear. We need immediate medical response. Daewon walked to the door and opened it manually. The security officer jumped back. You're alive. The officer gasped. It was a species Daewon hadn't seen before. Something like a seal with 4 arms. You're not even wearing protective equipment. Why would we need that? Daewon asked, confused. The security officer's face showed pure shock behind the helmet visor. The environmental conditions in that sector are lethal. The temperature is below freezing. The oxygen concentration would cause combustion in most life forms. The pressure would crush smaller species. Hana stepped forward, pulling her jacket tighter. It's just cold. We're fine. Just cold? The officer looked at its scanner, then at the humans, then at the scanner again. This is impossible. More security arrived. They set up monitoring equipment outside the human sector. Medical staff came rushing with emergency supplies. Everyone stared at the humans like they were ghosts. One of the medical staff, the protoplasm doctor from before, examined the readings. Remarkable. Their core body temperature has dropped by only 0.5 degrees. Their breathing is relaxed. No signs of distress. We should help with the evacuation, Daewon suggested. Other students might be trapped in damaged sectors. The security chief, a large being covered in armor plates, made a negative gesture. Absolutely not. Citizens cannot be exposed to emergency conditions. But we're fine in these conditions, Hana pointed out. We could help. That sector is at -15 degrees. Yes, we know. We were just there. The security chief looked like it wanted to argue more, but another alarm interrupted them. Emergency in Sector 7. Students trapped. Environmental systems critical. Temperature 45 degrees Celsius. Humidity 90%. Estimated survival time 10 minutes. The security chief made a distressed sound. We cannot reach them in time. The protective suits are in another section and the corridors between here and there are compromised. Daewon looked at Hana. She nodded. We can go, Daewon said. What? No, you'll die! 45 degrees and high humidity? Hana said. That's like summer in Busan. Uncomfortable but not dangerous. The security chief looked at them like they were insane. You would risk your lives? It's not really a risk, Daewon said simply. Tell us how to get there. After a moment of shocked silence, the security chief pulled up a map. Through this corridor, left at Junction 4, then straight to Sector 7, but please, if you feel any distress, return immediately. Daewon and Hana took off their jackets. They wouldn't need them where they were going. They ran through the corridors. The temperature rose quickly as they moved away from the human sector. Warning lights flashed. Automated voices repeated danger warnings in multiple languages. Environmental hazard. Extreme heat. Return to safe zones. The corridors were empty. All other students had been evacuated to protected areas. Only Daewon and Hana moved through the dangerous zones. They reached Sector 7. The heat hit them like a wall. Sweat immediately formed on their skin. The air was thick and heavy like breathing in a sauna. Anyone here? Daewon called out. A weak voice answered. Help, we cannot move. The heat. They found 4 students collapsed in a common room. One was Thalrix, the Vryn insect being. His compound eyes were glazed over. His antennae hung limp. The others were in similar condition. "We've got you," Hana said. She lifted Thalrix carefully. He was surprisingly light. Daewon gathered the other 3 students. They were small species, easy to carry. The journey back was harder. Carrying the students while running through the hot corridors required effort. Sweat poured down Daewon's face. His shirt was soaked. Beside him, Hana was breathing hard but steady. "This is just like summer vacation," she panted. "Remember when we hiked in the mountains?" "This is easier," Daewon replied. "At least we're not climbing." They reached the safe zone where medical teams were waiting. The staff rushed forward with emergency equipment and cooling units. Thalrix was conscious enough to speak. You saved us." "In that heat, how?" "It wasn't that hot," Hana said, wiping sweat from her face. The medical staff started treating the rescued students. Ice packs, cooling blankets, hydration fluids. They worked quickly and efficiently. The security chief approached Daewon and Hana. "What you did was incredibly brave. And incredibly foolish. You could have died. But we didn't," Daewon said. "We're fine. A little sweaty, but fine." "A little sweaty," the chief repeated in disbelief. "You were exposed to conditions that would kill most species in minutes. You carried 4 students through that environment. And you're a little sweaty." The chief made a gesture that might have been respect or fear. "We have you on security cameras. The entire station witnessed what you did." Indeed, throughout the station, students and staff were watching the recorded footage. They saw the humans run through deadly corridors without protective gear. They saw them lift and carry the rescued students with ease. They saw them return, tired but healthy. In the medical bay, Thalrix was recovering quickly under the cooling treatments. He asked to speak with Daewon and Hana. "Thank you," he said, his voice stronger now. "I was certain we would die. The heat was unbearable. I felt my body shutting down. But you 2 walked through it like it was nothing." "It was something," Hana said honestly. "It was hot and uncomfortable. But we've experienced worse on Earth. Summer days in the city can be just as bad." Thalrix's antennae trembled. "Your planet has regions that hot?" "Regularly?" "Yes, and colder regions too. And regions that are wet and hot at the same time. And dry and hot. And cold and wet. Earth has a lot of variety." "A death world indeed," Thalrix whispered. Over the next few hours, the station's systems were gradually restored. The solar storm passed. Environmental controls came back online, section by section. The human sector was the last to be repaired. The technicians were nervous about working in an environment designed for humans. They wore full protective gear and worked in short shifts. "It's strange," one technician said to Daewon as they worked. "We built this sector to your specifications, but even we cannot work in it comfortably. The air is too thick. The gravity too strong. We need protective equipment just to do basic repairs." "Sorry about that," Daewon said. No apology needed. It just makes us realize how different you are, how strong you must be to live in such conditions every day." By morning, everything was back to normal. Classes were canceled for the day while final repairs were completed. Students gathered in the common areas, sharing stories about the emergency. Daewon and Hana were sitting in the main plaza when Quelm approached. The large aquatic being in his water bubble looked different somehow. Le. 3 days had passed since the solar storm. Life at Threshold Station had returned to normal, but something had changed. Students no longer avoided the humans. Instead, they watched with curious eyes. Some approached with questions. Others simply offered friendly gestures as they passed in the hallways. Thalrix had become a constant companion to Daewon and Hana. The small Vryn joined them for meals, walked with them to classes, and asked endless questions about Earth. His fear had transformed into fascination. They were sitting in the library together, studying for an upcoming exam. Thalrix was supposed to be reading about galactic trade routes, but Daewon noticed he kept looking at something else on his tablet. "What are you reading?" Daewon asked. Thalrix's antennae twitched nervously. I hope you do not mind. After you saved me, I became curious about Earth. I wanted to understand where you come from. What made you so strong?" "That's fine," Hana said, leaning over to look. "What did you find?" Thalrix hesitated. "May I have permission to access the full Galactic Archive entry for Earth? The detailed files are restricted, but with your consent as natives, I can request access." Day One shrugged. Sure, we don't mind. Dalric submitted the request through his tablet. Within seconds, approval came through. His eyes widened as pages and pages of information appeared on his screen. Oh my, he whispered. What does it say? Hana asked. Thalrix began reading aloud, his voice getting more distressed with each sentence. Earth classification, Category 12 Deathworld. Atmosphere. Highly oxidative, contains free oxygen at levels sufficient to sustain combustion. Surface gravity, 2.4 times galactic average. Temperature variance extreme, ranging from -89 to +56 degrees Celsius. He scrolled down. Tectonic activity. High. The planet's surface is broken into plates that constantly move, causing frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Weather patterns violent. Regular occurrence of hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, and severe storms. Daewon and Hana exchanged glances. These facts didn't sound unusual to them. Earth was just Earth. Dalrix continued, his voice shaking. Biosphere. Extremely competitive. High predator density. Multiple apex predators exist in most ecosystems. Life forms display unusual aggression and adaptation speed. He paused at a particular section. Human evolution. Origin species evolved as prey animals but developed into pursuit predators. Unique among sapient species for this transition, humans can track prey for days using persistence hunting. They literally chase other animals until the prey dies from exhaustion. That's how our ancestors hunted, Hana explained. Before we had advanced tools. Before tools. Thalrix looked horrified. You hunted with your bare hands? Well, with basic spears and rocks, Daewon said. But basically, yes. Thalrix made a clicking sound of distress. He kept reading. Human physiology. Dense bone structure to support high gravity. Powerful cardiovascular system. Redundant organs in some cases. Remarkable healing capacity. Can function with severe injuries that would be fatal to most species. He found another section. Human immune system, hyper-aggressive. Contains multiple defense layers. Humans coexist with trillions of microorganisms that would be deadly to other species. The human body is essentially a walking ecosystem. Wait, Hana said. Is that why they have contamination protocols when we touch other species? Yes, Thalrix confirmed. The bacteria you carry naturally would make most of us very sick. Your body keeps them in balance, but our bodies have no such defenses. He scrolled to a new page. His antennae went completely rigid. Humans domesticated wolves. They took an apex predator and turned it into a companion animal. This level of control over dangerous species is unprecedented in galactic history. Dogs are great, Daewon said with a smile. I had a dog back in Seoul. You kept a predator as a pet, Thalrix said flatly. Well, they're not really predators anymore. They're friends. Thalrix looked like he wanted to argue but continued reading instead. Human history highly violent. Humans engaged in continuous warfare for thousands of years before achieving space travel. Wars were fought with weapons of increasing sophistication. Some conflicts involved millions of casualties. The pleasant atmosphere in the library had grown heavy. Other students at nearby tables were listening now. Thalrix's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Humans developed nuclear weapons before leaving their planet. They nearly destroyed themselves multiple times through weapons of mass destruction, environmental damage, and biological warfare. We got better, Hana said quietly. We learned. That's all in the past now. The past was only 200 years ago, Thalrix exclaimed. Most species take thousands of years to move from planetary warfare to galactic cooperation. Humans did it in 2 centuries. He scrolled down to a section marked with warning symbols. Human physical capabilities. Humans can throw objects with lethal accuracy and force. This ability is almost unique among sapient species. Their shoulder joints and brain coordination are specifically evolved for projectile weapons. Thalrix demonstrated by making a throwing motion. We Vrin cannot do this. Most species cannot, but humans can throw a rock and hit a target at great distance. This is a predator adaptation. I was pretty good at baseball, Daewon admitted. Baseball? Thalrix asked. A sport. You throw a ball and hit it with a bat. It's fun. You have sports based on your hunting abilities, Thalrix said, understanding dawning. Of course you do. More students had gathered around now. Word was spreading that Thalrix was reading Earth's archive file. Everyone wanted to hear. A student named Vexillar, who looked like a floating cloud of gas, spoke up. Read the section about human endurance. I heard about it from a professor. Thalrix found the section. Human endurance exceptional. Humans are among the best endurance runners in the known galaxy. They can maintain movement for hours without rest. Their sweat-based cooling system is highly efficient, preventing overheating during extended activity. Other species can't sweat? Hana asked, surprised. Most species overheat quickly, Vexlar explained. We must rest frequently to cool down. But humans can keep going, and going, and going. It's actually terrifying when you think about it. Thalrix had found another section. Human pain tolerance unusually high. Humans can function with broken bones, severe lacerations, and internal injuries. Their brain produces natural painkillers during stress. They can literally ignore pain through willpower. Well, pain still hurts, Day1 said. We don't like it. But you can ignore it, Thalrix insisted. The file has medical reports. Humans have been documented performing complex tasks while severely injured. This is a survival adaptation from your death world. Quelm swam over in his water bubble. What about their food? Read about what humans eat, Thalrix scrolled frantically. Human diet omnivorous. Can digest an unusually wide range of materials. Humans consume plants that are toxic to most species. They eat meat from predators. They intentionally consume spicy food that causes pain receptors to activate, apparently for enjoyment. Several students made sounds of disgust. Humans also consume alcohol. A poison for recreational purposes, Thalrix continued. They drink a stimulant called caffeine daily, in doses that would hospitalize smaller species. They voluntarily eat capsaicin, a chemical designed by plants to prevent consumption. Hot peppers are delicious, Hana said defensively. They cause pain. Thalrix squeaked. You eat things that cause pain. Only a little pain, Day1 added. The good kind of pain. There is no good kind of pain, several students said together. Thalrix kept reading, his voice getting higher. Human hearing can detect extremely quiet sounds. Human vision can see in lower light than most species. Human sense of smell can detect thousands of distinct scents. Humans are sensory predators designed to hunt efficiently in their dangerous environment. A new student pushed forward. It was a being made of living metal, speaking in a voice like ringing bells. Show them the section about human space exploration. That one shocked me. Thalrix found it. Human Space Program. Humans reached space only 300 years after developing industrial technology. They were willing to sit on top of controlled explosions to leave their planet. Early human astronauts had a significant mortality rate, but this did not stop the programs. We really wanted to see the stars, Day1 said simply. You were willing to die to see the stars, the metal being corrected. Most species wait until space travel is completely safe before attempting it. Humans could not wait. They went anyway, knowing the risks. Thalrix was scrolling faster now, trying to read everything. Humans survived the Great Plague, the climate crisis, the resource wars, and the AI uprising. Each event should have been extinction level. Humans survived all of them. He looked up at Day1 and Hana. Your species has survived so many disasters. You've been to the edge of destruction multiple times. But you always come back, always adapt, always survive. We're stubborn, Hana said with a small smile. You're terrifying, Thalrix replied, but his tone was awed rather than afraid. Ixara appeared at the edge of the growing crowd. Her crystalline body pulsed with soft light. I see the truth is spreading. Why didn't you tell us all this before? Day1 asked. We would have explained, would you? Ixara asked gently. Would you understand how remarkable you are? To you. 2 weeks had passed since Thalrix had shared Earth's archive file with the station. The news had spread beyond the library. Every student now knew about Earth's classification. Every professor had discussed it in their classes. The humans were no longer mysterious. They were understood, but understanding had brought new challenges. Day1 and Hana stood in the station's main auditorium. Hundreds of seats faced a central stage. Every seat was filled with students from dozens of different species. More students floated near the ceiling or stood along the walls. The entire station had come to hear them speak. Ixara stood at the center of the stage. Her crystalline body glowed brightly under the lights. Thank you all for attending this special seminar. The Galactic Education Consortium believes that understanding leads to cooperation. Today we will learn about Earth directly from those who call it home. She gestured to Day1 and Hana. Our human students have agreed to share their world with us. Please welcome them." Applause filled the auditorium. It was not polite applause. It was genuine, warm, enthusiastic. Daewon felt his nervousness fade a little. They had spent days preparing this presentation. They wanted to show Earth properly, not just as a death world, but as home. Hana stepped forward first. A hologram activated behind her, showing Earth from space. Beautiful blues and greens and whites swirled together. "This is Earth," she began. "To most of you, it's classified as a Category 12 death world. But to us, it's just home. Today, we want to show you what that really means." The image changed. Now it showed a dense jungle dripping with rain. Strange sounds played through the auditorium's speakers. Bird calls. Insect buzzes. The rustle of leaves. "This is a rainforest," Hana explained. "It's hot and humid. Temperatures can reach 40 degrees Celsius with 100% humidity. More species live in Earth's rainforests than on some entire planets." Students whispered to each other. Those conditions would be deadly to many of them. The image changed again. Now it showed a vast desert, golden sand stretching to the horizon. "This is a desert," Daewon said, taking over. "It's extremely dry and hot during the day. Temperatures can exceed 50 degrees. At night, it drops below freezing. Humans have lived in deserts for thousands of years. They live in both environments?" A student called out in disbelief. "We live in all environments," Hana answered. "Watch," the images cycled faster. Arctic tundra, where temperatures reached -40 degrees. Mountain peaks, where the air was thin and cold. Coastal regions, where hurricanes brought massive storms. Grasslands, where lightning struck and fires burned. Volcanic islands, where the earth itself was molten. In every image, there were signs of human habitation. Buildings, roads, cities, people. "Earth is not gentle," Daewon said. "It has tried to kill us many times. Ice ages, plagues, famines, natural disasters. But we adapted. We survived. We thrived." A new image appeared. This one showed human evolution, from early ancestors to modern humans. "We started as prey animals," Hana explained. "Small primates living in trees, hiding from predators. But our planet forced us to change. We came down from the trees. We learned to walk upright. We learned to use tools." The image showed early humans making stone tools, hunting with spears, controlling fire. "We became hunters," Daewon continued, "not through claws or fangs. We aren't the biggest or strongest or fastest, but we could think. We could plan. We could work together, and we could keep going long after our prey gave up." Another image. Ancient humans around a fire, sharing food, caring for their young and old. "We learned that cooperation was better than fighting," Hana said. "We formed communities, families, tribes, nations. We learned to help each other, survive." The presentation moved forward through history, agriculture, cities, writing, art, science. Every achievement was shown, along with the challenges that inspired it, but they didn't hide the dark parts. "We also fought," Daewon said quietly. "For thousands of years we fought wars. We hurt each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once." Images showed the devastation of war. Destroyed cities, suffering people. Nuclear explosions. The auditorium was completely silent. "We're not proud of this history," Hana said. "We made terrible mistakes. We were violent and cruel and short-sighted. But we learned." New images appeared. Humans working together across different cultures. Peace treaties. Environmental restoration. Space cooperation. "We learned that we were stronger together than apart," Daewon explained. "We learned that our differences made us better, not worse. We learned that survival meant cooperation, not conquest." The presentation shifted to modern Earth. Clean cities powered by renewable energy. Restored forests and oceans. Technology that helped rather than harmed. "This is Earth today," Hana said. "Still dangerous. Still challenging. But also beautiful. Still home." They showed images of human culture. Music from every region. Art in thousands of styles. Literature in hundreds of languages. Food from every cuisine. "We asked ourselves what makes humans special," Daewon said. "Is it our strength? Our endurance? Our ability to survive?" He paused. "Maybe, but we think it's something else. We think it's our ability to choose. Earth made us tough, but we chose to be kind. Earth made us fighters, but we chose to be builders. Earth made us survivors, but we chose to be friends." The final image appeared. It showed the human dormitory at Threshold Station. Daewon and Hana stood with other students. Tallerikskramvexlar, dozens of different species together. "We came here to learn from you," Hana said. to understand your worlds, your cultures, your perspectives, because that's what humans do. We adapt, we explore, we connect. Day one stepped forward. Yes, we're from a death world. Yes, our biology is unusual. Yes, we're stronger and tougher than most species. But that's not what defines us. What defines us is that we chose to reach out,
To join the galaxy.
to be part of something bigger than ourselves. The presentation ended. For a moment, silence filled the auditorium. Then someone started clapping, then another, then everyone. The applause was thunderous. Students cheered. Some made sounds of approval in their own languages. The auditorium shook with the noise. Ixara moved to center stage, her light pulsing with emotion. Thank you for that presentation. Now we will take questions. Dozens of hands, tentacles, and appendages shot up. Hana pointed to a student in the front row. Yes, the student, a small being covered in soft feathers, spoke nervously. Do you ever wish you came from an easier world? A safer world? Daewon considered the question. Sometimes. When things are hard, yes. But Earth made us who we are. Our challenges taught us resilience. Our dangers taught us caution. Our diversity taught us acceptance. Would we trade that? I don't think so. Another student spoke up. Are you afraid of hurting us? Because you're so much stronger? Yes, Hana answered honestly. Every day. We're very careful. We don't want to accidentally harm anyone. That's why we're grateful for the environmental controls and safety protocols. They help us be safe around everyone. Thalrix raised an antenna. May I ask a question? Of course, Daewon said with a smile. You showed us that humans fought terrible wars. How did you stop? How did you learn peace? Hana took a breath. We almost didn't. We came very close to destroying everything. But eventually enough people decided that survival was more important than winning, that the future was more important than the past. It took generations. It wasn't easy. Some people resisted. But slowly we changed our thinking. We realized that we were all humans regardless of our differences. Professor Ventok stood. I have observed something interesting. Humans display strong emotional responses to injustice. You cannot tolerate unfairness. Why is this? Daewon thought about it. Maybe because we had to cooperate to survive. If someone takes more than their share or refuses to help, it threatens the whole group. So we evolved to care about fairness. It's how we survived. Quelm's voice boomed from his water bubble. I have a confession. When I first met you, I thought you were primitives. Now I realize I was judging based on fear. Humans are different from us, yes. But different does not mean lesser. I have learned this lesson well. Thank you, Quelm, Hana said warmly. More questions came. What foods do humans like? What sports do they play? What stories do they tell? What music moves them? Daewon and Hana answered as best they could. They shared recipes. They demonstrated games. They sang songs. They told stories. The seminar stretched for hours. No one wanted to leave. Everyone wanted to understand. Finally, Ixara stepped forward again. We must conclude, but I want to share something with all of you. Her crystalline body pulsed with light. When humans first applied to join Threshold Station, there was significant debate. Some said it was too dangerous, that Deathworld species were too unpredictable, that the safety costs were too high. She paused. I disagreed. I argued that diversity makes us stronger, that new perspectives help us grow, that challenge breeds innovation. Her light grew brighter. I was right. In the short time humans have been here, they have inspired 12 new research projects, 7 new courses, 43 new safety innovations that will help all species. They saved 4 lives during the solar storm. They brought this entire station together in ways I never imagined. Ixara turned to Daewon and Hana. Deathworld species bring change.